Tonight on KGW News, the Secretary of State quits her side job.
I owe the people of Oregon an apology.
Why Shemia Fagan is saying sorry while welcoming an ethics investigation. Plus, cracking down on one of the Rose City's most common crimes.
I think we've all seen it.
A new plan from local leaders to put a stop to shoplifters. And later,
holy moly, that is an incredible landform. We've never seen it before.
the rare sight on the Oregon coast that had experts stunned. Good evening, and we begin with Oregon's mental health crisis, lack of treatment options, and an effort to connect patients to the care they need. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Mulco. Tonight, there is a brand new tool to help people find what is available and as quickly as possible. Catherine Cook joins us now. And Catherine, a lot of folks may find this looks and feels a little bit familiar.
Well, David, it is based on a similar tool developed during the pandemic that tracked down open beds for critical COVID patients. It's called the Oregon Behavioral Health Coordination Center. Right now, it's connected to 11 facilities, including some hospitals. The goal is to eventually connect all mental health care providers statewide, knowing the critical need to find open beds as quickly as possible.
We never plan when we are getting sick enough that we need a hospital admission.
When it does happen, you just hope there's an open hospital bed with your name on it. During COVID, hoping wasn't enough. It took state and local health officials creating an online dashboard to help them track all open hospital beds in the state. It's a concept that likely saved lives, and one doctors are replicating for patients in need of critical mental health treatment.
By itself, it doesn't increase the resources available, but it will give us a better understanding what do we actually have.
Matthias Merkel is Senior Associate Chief Medical Officer for OHSU Health. Using state and federal funding, the hospital led efforts to create the Oregon Behavioral Health Coordination Center. The system tracks data in real time, noting when patients check in and check out. Without centralized information, doctors say finding open beds can be difficult, time-consuming, and patients must wait. That often creates a backlog for others seeking health care.
They have to board in our emergency rooms and sometimes in our inpatient setting, which is not the ideal environment for a patient who needs specific behavioral health treatments.
For kids, this tool comes at an even more critical time. Doctors say statewide pediatric behavioral health beds are in short supply, even as psychiatric needs for children are escalating. In Southwest Portland, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
New at 11, Oregon's House has passed a bill supporters say protects access to reproductive and gender-affirming health care. Opponents call it too extreme for Oregon. Now, according to House Democrats, Bill 2002 expands access to care, stops politicians from interfering in medical decisions, and protects providers. Opponents say the bill would let minors under the age of 15 get abortions without parental consent. Would expand the types of gender-affirming care funded under the Oregon Health Plan. Republicans add the bill is not written plainly as Oregon law requires, so they are taking it to court. The bill still has to pass the Senate.
I am sorry for harming the trust that I and so many others have worked so hard to build.
Well, that is Oregon Secretary of State apologizing today following the news she was working a side job as a consultant for La Moda, a marijuana dispensary chain. Shemia Fagan also said she'd be quitting that gig, with Republicans calling for her resignation and the governor launching an ethics investigation, though it is not the moonlighting that is necessarily at issue, more the potential conflict of interest here. Let's explain. La Moda and associated businesses have a troubling record of unpaid taxes and bills. At the same time, La Moda's owners were making sizable donations to top Democrats, including Fagan. On top of that, as Secretary of State, Fagan oversees state audits, including the audit of Oregon's regulations on the cannabis industry. Yes, the same industry in which she was working as a consultant. Fagan today said her consultant gig had nothing to do with her elected position and that the auditors worked independently.
I look forward to the Ethics Commission because they will confirm that I faithfully followed Oregon's ethics rules and laws. I'm even more eager for the Department of Justice to publish their findings.
Fagan makes $77,000 a year for her Secretary of State job, which she says is not enough for her family. It turns out Oregon ranks 45th in the nation for Secretary of State pay. Thanks to this story team for digging into that number. Fagan's consultant gig, by the way, paid her $10,000 a month. Well, tonight, 2 task forces are in the works aimed at targeting people who shoplift and steal cars. It is a new plan for Multnomah County and the city of Portland to crack down on what the DA calls the worst of the worst. Investigative reporter Kylie Boshi with the update.
Both Multnomah County and the city of Portland will provide funding to help kickstart these task forces. One will focus on organized retail theft. The other will go after car thieves with the goal, hold criminals accountable. Multnomah County DA Mike Schmidt, along with other local leaders and law enforcement, held a press conference to explain the plan. They're going to hire 5 people to help lead the task forces targeting car thieves and shoplifters, including 2 prosecutors, a pair of investigators, and a legal assistant. Schmidt explained these teams will focus on the worst offenders.
If you got to prioritize, we want to prioritize the people who have 3, 4, 5, 6 stolen car cases out there and make sure that at the very least they are being held accountable.
As we've been reporting, there's been a real spike in retail theft cases in the Portland area. Many retailers admit shoplifting has gotten so out of control, they don't even bother reporting it. The KGW investigation showed criminals literally stealing merchandise off store shelves and walking out the front door with little or no fear of being arrested or prosecuted. Even Multnomah County's top prosecutor admits he's witnessed it.
I mean, I myself was shopping at a local retailer, and I'm in the Lego aisle with my son, and we saw somebody scoop up a bunch of Legos and walk out. I think we've all seen it.
Previously, our reporting found the prosecution rate for misdemeanor petty theft cases in Portland, which includes shoplifting, is 46%. That means less than half of the Theft 2 or Theft 3 cases sent to the Multnomah County DA's office by police are charged. Most cases are dismissed. At the time, DA Schmidt explained those cases that are dismissed are often rejected because prosecutors don't have the evidence they need. The DA hopes the extra prosecutors and investigators on the task force can help with that follow-up, things like interviews, collecting evidence, or surveillance video that will help build a case and hold criminals accountable. As we mentioned, the other task force will focus on stolen cars. That's a really big issue. Last year, nearly 11,000 cars were ripped off in Portland. That means on average, a car is stolen every 48 minutes. Kyle Aboshi, KGW News.
Let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, including the name of the man shot this morning by police in Salem. He is 34-year-old Andrew Hjostad, currently hospitalized, though no word on his condition. Investigators say Hjostad is associated with an SUV they believe was used in 3 shootings last night. The first was in Woodburn. Nothing was hit. In the second shooting, a Marion County Sheriff's Office car was hit. And the third, they say, targeted a Salem police car. No officers were hurt. Investigators say they tracked down Hjostad this morning and he ran from officers. The Salem police SWAT officer shot him. Investigators say they found a handgun near the suspect when they arrested him, but they did not say if he pointed the gun at officers. In North Portland, police arrested 5 people over the weekend in a street racing crackdown. Officers also cited 25 other drivers for traffic violations and towed away 2 cars. The operation, officers say, focused on multiple areas, including North Columbia and North Marine Drive. Oregon's governor has directed the Oregon State Police to assist with combating street racing in the Rose City, though it is unclear if that partnership has gotten underway. To Oklahoma now, and a disturbing story south of Tulsa where investigators say they found the bodies of 7 people while they were searching for a pair of missing teenagers. The bodies were on a rural property near the town of Henrietta that belongs to a registered sex offender. The missing teens are believed to be among those bodies. Authorities did not explicitly say if the suspect was in custody, but did say there is no threat to the community. And Washington is strengthening laws related to hazing. A bill known as Sam's Law, signed today by Governor Inslee, makes hazing a gross misdemeanor. And in cases where someone is seriously injured or killed, the crime can be charged as a felony. The new law is named after Sam Martinez, the Washington State University freshman from Bellevue, who died in the fall of 2019 in a hazing-related incident. Today is May Day, also known as International Workers' Day, and a time many rally for immigrant and workers' rights. So hundreds marched through downtown Seattle representing workers in all types of industries, from education to retail. While locally, there were also several demonstrations. They included smaller protests like this one outside a Starbucks on the Portland State campus. Their employees voted to unionize just last week and say today an employee was sent home for wearing a union shirt. Co-workers then walked out in solidarity. For workers here, wages and hours are a concern, but even more so, safety. A supervisor explained how she witnessed someone get assaulted in the store just this weekend.
We're baristas. Our job is to make coffee, just to have people have a good time, and we have all these situations where we have medical issues, we have violent incidents, and so I'm expected to be a social worker, an EMT, a security guard, and also make sure that my staff and I am okay, and that's not my job.
Well, the local Starbucks union says executives have not been responsive to their bargaining requests. Across the country, judges have found Starbucks has repeatedly broken labor laws, including retaliating against employees. The company's CEO says they are not union busting or doing anything illegal.